Can you believe it's been 35 years since this Van Damme flick ever came out? You better believe it. Prepare yourselves, because he's about to have for the slammer, but really do some work there. Especially give someone a real whooping and what have you. A real butt kicking, too. Here's my review of Death Warrant. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is, well, you know the name. I'm, well, known to you as the Big D. This time around, I bring to you a review of the 1990 prison action thriller flick, Death Warrant, released by MGM. Directed by Darren Sarafian, produced by Mark DeSalle, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. The film was written by David S. Goyer long before he worked on the Dark Knight trilogy and other films while a student at USC, and was Goyer's first screenplay to be sold and produced commercially. The film focuses on a police detective named Louis Burke, who is going into a prison facility in California as an undercover cop in order to find out who was behind a mysterious series of murders and finds himself locked up with his nemesis, a psychotic serial killer who calls himself the Sandman, who sets out to exact revenge upon him after getting him to prison. The film was released on this day, September 14th, 1990. Henceforth, today is the 35th anniversary of this film. The film did pretty well, actually. Well, it got mixed reviews, though. Now then, let's get into the story. Detective Louis Burke of the Royal Canadian, it might be Louis, I'm sorry. Louis or Louis, well, of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police from Quebec confronts the maniac that killed his partner, a psychopathic serial killer who calls himself the Sandman. Burke searches an abandoned house in LA where he comes across a series of bodies hanging from the ceiling and is then attacked by the Sandman. Burke shoots the Sandman several times in the chest, apparently killing him. 16 months later, Burke joins a task force assembled by the governor to investigate a series of murders in the Harrison State Prison in California. While Burke poses as an inmate, attorney Amanda Beckett acts as his wife. Burke goes undercover and is interned in the state penitentiary, where he befriends his cellmate Konevke and clerk Hawkins. Despite Burke saving Hawkins from a confrontation with a gang, neither he nor Konevke will talk about the recent murders. Burke is able to track down Mayerson, the cellmate of the most recent victim, who works at the infirmary, but he also refuses to talk. When Burke threatens him, Mayerson reveals that he doesn't know what's going on, but that the guards are involved and that there is an outside man. He sends Burke to talk to Priest, who gets him a key to the records room. In the records room, Burke finds Barrett's death certificate covered in codes. He feeds the codes to Beckett and connects her with a teenage hacker, Tisdale, who determines the codes come from the infirmary. With help from Priest and Hawkins, Burke breaks into the infirmary and finds several boxes labeled medical waste. They are actually full of human organs. Later, a new inmate arrives. Burke is horrified to find out that it's the Sandman. The Sandman recognizes Burke and briefly apprehends him. Instead of killing Burke, the Sandman reveals to their fellow prisoners that Burke is a cop. Meanwhile, Beckett and Tisdale decipher a code that they find in the computer, which comprises prisoner identification numbers followed by their blood type. None of the inmates on the list have drug related crimes, and they are mostly young first time offenders. All of the ID numbers match those of prisoners who have been murdered. Beckett identifies it as a hit list and tips off Burke that he's next on the list. During the night, Burke's cell is attacked. He manages to fend off the attackers, but Konevsky is killed. Burke is dragged off by the guards and interrogated by Sergeant de Graaf. Later, Beckett attends a party hosted by the state's Attorney General, Tom Vogler. Beckett believes that her boss, Ben Keene, is responsible for the murders and prepares to tell Vogler of her theory. However, just as she's about to do so, she receives a call from Tisdale, who tells her that the man behind the murders is in fact Vogler. Vogler produces a gun and reveals to Beckett that his wife needed a liver transplant, and when it turned out that even his money and influence could move her up the donor list in time, he created a conspiracy to murder healthy prisoners for organs. After his wife's transplant, he continued the scheme for profit. He also reveals that he sent the Sandman to assassinate Burke because Burke was too hard for the other inmates to kill. When his wife unexpectedly enters the room, Beckett escapes. Now for the ending, you know the procedure. You got 5 seconds to sub this video at once. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below as I count down now. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. In the prison, Burke escapes his cell, and the Sandman opens all the other cells to create a riot. Priest and Hawkins help him evade the guards. Hawkins is injured but saved by Priest, but Priest is then killed by the Sandman. The scene culminates in a showdown between Sandman and Burke, with the inmates looking on. At first, the Sandman gets the better of the fight, but when he opens the door to the boiler room to throw Burke into it, Burke turns the tables by kicking the Sandman to the flames. However, the Sandman emerges from the boiler grossly burned. Burke kicks him again, this time sending him careering backward into a pillar where his head is impaled on a valve stem. Despite this mortal injury stuck to the valve, the Sandman continues to taunt Burke. You can't kill me, Burke. I'm the Sandman. Burke responds by twisting the Sandman's head around. The valve stem inflicts damage on the Sandman's brain, finally killing him. In the end, the inmates quietly allow Burke to leave the prison, where he is reunited with Hawkins and Beckett. End of story. So what did I think of Death Warrant? Now, I've seen this a few times, and I think it was pretty good, actually. And it was pretty awesome. Upon its release, the film did well, making $46 million worldwide on its $6 million budget. Though it got mixed reviews, though, critics found the direction, the storyline, villain, and the plot poor. Well, sure, it does have issues with the story and what have you. Excuse me again. Yeah, but still, I found the story to be okay. Direction's alright. But however, they highly praise the acting as well as the action scenes and the thrilling atmosphere. Yes, and I agree on that. Well, there's no Rotten Tomato score I could find. Only Metacritic has its score with 34 out of 100. Now, I am going to say that I really was impressed with this. Of course, this was one of Van Damme's earlier films. Now, even though he had already done some others before this, like Bloodsport and a few others, I am going to say that this film is pretty awesome. The music for this was composed by Gary Chang, and I thought it was very good. Now, of course, I did like the atmosphere of this. I liked the prison setting, which that was really awesome. The fight sequences and action scenes were absolutely superb, especially the confrontation between Louis and of course, Sandman, whose name is actually Christian Naylor. Now, Van Damme once again proves he's a good leading star as he portrays Louis Burke. And I've got to say, he is absolutely badass in this, especially in the action scenes. Robert Guillaume plays Hawkins. I sometimes have trouble pronouncing that last name, excuse me. Amanda Beckett is played by Cynthia Gibb, and I will say she's good. George Dickerson played Vogler. Real good. Art LaFleur, I've seen him before. He plays Sergeant de Graaf. And Patrick Kilpatrick played the Sandman. I must admit, it was pretty good. We also have Larry Hankin, who's appeared in numerous films as Mayerson, and let's see, Armin Shimmerman, who of course went on to play Quark in on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and he was Principal Snyder in the first 3 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and also lent his voice to General Scar and other characters in Cartoon Network's The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, as well as Dr. Nefarious in the Ratchet and Clank video game series, and Andrew Ryan in the Bioshock video game series. So I've got to say, those people were pretty good, and there's many others. Conrad Dunn as Kenneth Gibb, very good. So I gotta say, the cast isn't too bad. So the way I see it, Death Warrant can be a little bit underrated though, but I feel like this film may have its issues, but still it provides some kick-ass moments later on. And of course, if you have not seen my ranking, which I know a lot of you have already seen it, this film did make my Van Damme flicks ranking. But anyway, with everything said, Death Warrant does have its issues and flaws with its plot and storyline, or its direction and villain. Well, yeah, Sandman wasn't completely bad, completely. He's just But however, I did like the performances from everyone, especially Van Damme, as well as the action scenes and the atmosphere, which of course mostly would be the prison setting. So with everything said, would I recommend Death Warrant? I'd say sure, go ahead. If you're a big time Van Damme fan, then this is a film you need to check out. You won't be disappointed. It's really good. So what did you think of Death Warrant? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, be a part of the Big D Nation, continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Now, despite I made the error in my previous video, next time will be the Species 3 review for realsies. So if you like this, you may want to check out these other Van Damme flicks I've recently done reviews of. In the upper left-hand corner, here's what I did from later on. Check out my review of Street Fighter from 1994. I just found out they're currently working on a new film, which I think with its pretty big cast, I think they might be able to pull it off. We'll see. In the upper right-hand corner is my review of a film that Van Damme did 2 years after this, and that was Universal Soldier from 1992. Or if you'd like to see where Death Warrant winds up, check out my Van Damme flicks ranking in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.